Welcome back, guys and girls, to another episode of Does What It Says. And on this episode, I'll be doing a side-by-side comparison of this MJX H12p and my H12y Plus. On top of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that H12p into a H12p Plus. But before that, let's just get straight into it and do a side-by-side comparison. Now, they really are exactly the same. There is no difference on these. My H12y Plus, which is the one on the right hand side, which is the yellow Jeep, that's a censored version. On the left hand side is the H12p. So they use the same controller as well, but quickly looking at the H12y Plus, you'll see it's just the motor and the speed controller which is different. You've got the bodywork and the wheels. They're the only things that are different, and the front bumper. Everything else is exactly the same. As you can see here, wheels are different, front bumper is different, bodywork is different, and you've got the engine and the speed controller. They are both different as well, but that's probably only because this is not the censored version. On the underside, as you can see as well, exactly the same, with the only difference being that I've put the chassis and diff protectors on the H12y Plus, and MJX have relocated the on and off button, which wouldn't have made any difference anyway, because you have to hold it down for at least 3 seconds to turn it on or off. So where it was located originally really wasn't too much of a problem, but now because they removed it, you have a small hole where the original switch was mounted. Even the wheels are exactly the same, so the wheels and the tyres being the only difference is the colour scheme. One's black and red, one's silver. Moving on. This is the H12y Plus, and this is the censored version. So you've got the censored brushless motor and speed controller, and the H12p has the standard brush motor with a standard speed controller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get both of these and I'm going to strip them down and basically swap the bodies over, swap the wheels over, show you how to do it so you can create your own H12p Plus. So what you're going to need is an Allen key, as you can see there, and a pair of pliers just to cut the cable ties. And you want to locate this double black and red cable, which goes to the front bumper, and you just want to follow it through and snip off the cable ties. Now, the reason I'm doing this is there isn't a H12p Plus released yet. They might release one, but they haven't done yet, so I'm probably creating the world's first H12p Plus that's out there at the moment. So if you don't know the difference, the censored version, which is on the H12y Plus, basically you have more control over all of the parameters on it. So you can adjust the speed, the acceleration, you can adjust the braking as well. It just makes it a lot more controllable, easier to drive, and more enjoyable, really. So I thought to myself, why not just do it? I've got both of them, so let's just give it a go. So what you need to do, guys, is there's 4 bolts at the front you need to undo. So where I've got this small Allen key, you've got 2 this side and 2 the other side. You need to undo these 4 bolts. Now, it is a little bit fiddly, but it's easy to do. So it's better than changing the motor and the electronic speed controller and all the cables and everything that goes with it. It's easier to do. So what I'm basically doing is I'm going to remove the front bumper, I'm going to remove the wheels, I'm going to remove the bodywork, and basically swap the chassis over. So make sure you get these 2 screws and you keep them in a safe place and you know where they come from. So these 2 screws from the front and 2 screws on the other side as well. I'll speed it up a bit. So there's a 4th screw out, and then what you're going to need to do then is, because you'll realise the front bumper won't just come off like that, so you need to remove the suspension mount. So where them small tiny little shock towers are, there's 3 screws on either side. 2 of them hold the shock towers in, 1, 2. So remove both of them, and then once you've got those both off, there is a single screw behind it which is basically screws into a chassis strut, so one of the steel bars which goes from one side of the chassis to the other side, and then you remove that as well. So what I do, just to make sure I get the screws in the right places, I'll put a screw back into one of the positions where it come from. Then I know that that's exactly where that screw come from. Well, there's the screw that goes into the chassis brace. So you undo that, and then once you've undone that one, that's the 5 screws from this side taken off. And you want to do exactly the same on the other side. And make sure, guys, that you're putting these screws down in an order that you take them out, so you know exactly where they're going to go when they go back in. Okay, so just put them in a line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you take them out, put them in position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the table or desk or floor, wherever you're doing it, so you just know where the screws go back in. And once you've taken the 5 screws out from this side, you have 3 screws to take out from this side, which are the last 3. So the 2 in the shock mount and 1 which hold the chassis brace on. And then remove the chassis braces, which you can see I've already done. Put them on the table. And then what I do is I replace the 2 longer screws which come out of the shock mounts, and I put them back into the shock mounts and just screw them in a little bit, just so I know where they've come from, rather than having them rolling around all over the table. So I put one back in that side, one back in the other side. It's just something I do. You guys don't have to do it, but this is just something I do. It just make sure I get the screws back into the same place where they come from. So once you've done that, you're ready then to just literally slide out the front bumper. So you just pull the chassis apart a little tiny bit, and that front bumper should slide out very easily. There you go. Now, the next thing we want to do, guys, is we've got a cable that comes from the light control box in the body that goes into the receiver. So you want to undo the 4 screws of the receiver box. Just speed this up a little bit. That's the last screw. And then lift it over towards the side, holding the cables down. So hold the cables in position, and then just lift the box off. And the little seal that's just there, just take it out. Be careful with it, just put it somewhere safe. If you follow that cable through, which comes from the thing, it goes into channel 3, which I shall just zoom in for you so you can see it. So channel 3 on that receiver. And just remove it. Last thing you want to do for the time being is you've got 2 screws which hold the actual body onto the back. So undo both of these 2 screws, and once you've done that, the whole body should just be completely free from that chassis and ready to go on to the H12y Plus, which will now be called a H12p Plus. Right, this is a bit fiddly, guys, and I would highly recommend you buy yourself a small electronic screwdriver just to aid you in getting all these bits and pieces out when you do work on these cars. I do break one out at the end of this video a little bit later on because it's a pain in the butt using an Allen key all the time to do this. Anyway, there's your H12p chassis, and there's your H12p bodywork. There's your front bumper with a light on it, all ready to be changed over. And pulling it on the chassis from the H12y Plus. Now it's a bit easier to take this body off, so you do exactly the same as what you've done before. Take the battery off first, and you remove these cable ties holding the light box cable that comes from the body into the receiver. Remove all these cable ties, then you remove the receiver box screws exactly the same way. Hold the cable down, lift the box off, remove the seal, pull it somewhere safe, and then you remove the light control box cable from channel 3, and then you have 2 screws which hold the bodywork in. on the back, 1, 2, remove both of those, and then once you've done that you can remove this body, and then you can grab your H12p bodywork. This is where it all gets exciting. And you can reattach it to your new chassis. So 2 screws, 1 in either side, screw them back in. Once you've got them screwed in nice and tight, you want to get the cable from your light box, which is in the body shell. You want to reattach it into channel 3. So easy way to do this is go underneath the cables which are there already, connect it into channel 3. Can only go one way, guys, so don't worry about what way you put it in. If you get it the wrong way, it won't go. Now what you want to do is you've got a little piece of rubber which is basically the seal for the cables. So you want to make sure that when you do wrap this around the cables and you put the cables in position, that seal sits flat. So easy way to do it, stick it in position, lift up one side, and then lay the cables in one by one. And then make sure that when you put that down, it's completely flat. I'll just zoom in and show you what I'm doing here so you understand what I mean. See that little bit of rubber holds the cables in? It's completely flat. Now you get your seal, and ideally you want to get some grease, some thick silicone grease. This is watch grease. So it's a watch silicone grease. It's for seals on watches. So what it does is it basically helps you keep the seal in place when you're messing around with it, because it's very sticky. I'll just show you. Look how thick that is. So you just get some of that and you run it round the seal, and it is pretty sticky, guys, and it helps with waterproofing it as well, which is good. But primarily it's just sticky, and it holds it in position, just makes it a lot easier for when you put these seals back in place. So just make sure you cover all sides. So all the way around. That's probably a bit too much silicone on it, but it's all good. And then you just start laying it in place, and it should, even though it is a bit fiddly, it should hold in relatively easily, and it sticks in place, as you can see, and it's just a lot easier to get that receiver box cover back on. So just hold the cables down, and you really do, you want to get this seal on and hold the cables down while you put that lid back on. Keep the cables held down. Just hold it like that, and you get the receiver cover box cover rather. Back in position, and it goes very easily back on. Then you know that seal is in the exact place where it should be, keeping that box as watertight as it can be. And if you wanted to add a little bit of that silicone around the cables, now would be the time to do it, and that would probably waterproof your receiver box a lot better. And once you've done all the screws up on there, your lights are all wired in. I'm just going to show you guys that it does all line up absolutely perfect. See, when you close that shell over now, that body shell, the magnets line up absolutely spot on. Next up, guys, you've got the 5 screws on either side which hold the bumper on, and the 2 shock tower mounts. So you want to take those off. I'm going to make this quick, so I'm going to fast forward the video a little bit. So that's the 5 off the right hand side and then the 5 off the left hand side, and that should allow you to remove the front bumper. Exactly the same as before. You've got 2 chassis struts which go across, so the chassis braces, remove both of them as well, because they're going to go with the front bumper onto the other truck. And then just slide that bumper forward. Put it to one side. And install the new bumper. Again, quite easy. Slide it straight into the chassis. Just clicks in nicely. And once you've done that, shock towers back on, screws back in. So you've got 5 screws either side, get them back in. And these chassis braces, so where I just put that one, you want to move it to there. So the one closest to the motor, and screw that one in first, because it just makes it a lot easier when you put the shock braces on. The shock towers, should I say. So screw these in first. Again, an electronic screwdriver does come in a lot handy. And once you've got both those screws in either side of there, get the shock towers on, screw both of those up, making sure that the same screws that come out go back in the same place. And then once you've got the shock towers completely installed, don't forget the 2 screws at the front just behind the bumper. So 2 screws either side. That's the shocks working. That's the front bumper with the 2 struts. And last 2 screws either side at the front. Again, just speed it up a little bit. Once they're in, all that's left is to cable tie the cables back into position. Make sure you don't do these too tight, guys. You just want them held securely. And you don't want that cable going over the motor. You want to wrap it around that little gearbox. So that's it. So stick it around the front of that. You don't want it going across the motor where it's going to get hot. So get it around that gearbox and cable tie it up. Snip off the cable tie, and it's all nice and tidy and neat. All you got to do is just got to make sure that these cables, when you cable tie them up, don't get pinched by the suspension. They're not going to be anywhere near any of the tyres or wheels when they're moving, or when the suspension is depressed. You just want to make sure they're completely out of the way of any moving parts. So what I do with these rear one is I stick a cable tie through and just above the shock tower and just do it up just there. Again, not too tight, hasn't got to be tight. It's just got to hold it in position. That's it. One other little thing, guys. So the battery that I'm using. And when this turns up, you get a tiny little battery. These are much better. They fit in there. They're made for these cars. So, well, these cars are made for these batteries. So when you get this small buckle, which I'm just pulling out at the moment, pulling it there. So the black buckle on this strap is at the top. It's where that is there. But you want it at the bottom where it is now. So if yours is like that, you want to change it over. So this black buckle is sitting at the bottom, and the Velcro bit is at the top. So just zoom in. See, the buckle is now on the underside. So pull it out and make sure it's how I am showing you now. So the buckle is at the bottom, Velcro is at the top. So when you put the battery in, it's extremely easy, and there's no fiddling or messing around. It's been reported that they're a pain in the butt to get the batteries in and out, but as you can see, Velcro in, job done. Easy peasy. And that is, guys, your MJX H12p Plus completed. Check that out. I think there's only one thing left to do on this, and that is change the wheels over. I mean, it does look pretty good with silver wheels, but I just want it exactly as it was from the beginning. Just quickly try it. Lights working as they should do. Turn the control on, and there you go. The lights work exactly as they would do. Perfect. Now you have full control over all of the speed, the acceleration, the braking, all controlled by the Angry Snail app, because you now have the H12p Plus. Oh yeah. Just showing you, you have to hold that button in for 3 seconds before it turns off. So let's just have a quick look at what we've just done. So we've removed the body, we've removed the bumper, we put it onto the H12y Plus chassis. So now we have the H12p with a censored brushless motor and the censored speed controller. You have a proper sized battery in it, and the strap to hold the battery on has been put in the correct position. There's only one thing left to do on this, and that is basically swap the wheels over. And then once you've swapped the wheels back over, you just got to reassemble the H12y Plus, which is exactly the same instructions as earlier. And once you've completed it and you've got your Jeep back together, you now have a H12p Plus, which possibly could be the first H12p Plus in existence. Probably isn't, because someone's probably done it before, but I haven't seen anybody else do it yet. And just to show you, there is the censored electronic speed controller and motor, all in there, nice and tidy, cable tied back up again, and ready to rock and roll. So that is my comparison of the H12y Plus and the H12p, and conversion of the two. So I've now turned the H12p into a H12p plus, and the H12y is the way H12y plus is now just a bog standard H12y, but it's got the metal body. I hope you liked my video this time, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.